Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of CrossTalk. I'm your host, Leigh. We are here with our intrepid producer, Elizabeth Holthouse, and guests, Undefeated. Hey, guys.
Oh, hello. How are you
All
guys?
right, introduce yourselves.
Oh, okay.
I am Leigh.
I am
Leigh,
Meredith.
Meredith,
And I'm Christian.
Christian. Okay,
Vocals
Leigh.
and guitars, drums.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Lise, Meredith, Christian.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome. How you guys doing?
We are doing very, very well. It's
Yeah.
been just, I don't know, we're just living life.
Just living life.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, I will say this will be episode 5 of the podcast, and by far, you guys are our youngest guests.
Hey.
I think the average age. Nope, I'm not gonna say it. But anyway, by far.
Up here, right?
Oh my gosh! But we had my mentor on. We had Stu Rideout. You guys know Stu, right?
We love Stu,
Yes.
Yeah, love Stu. Gotta love Stu. And couple other people. Yeah. But anyways, so definitely the youngest, definitely hands down coolest hair.
My God. My God.
Yes. All three of you, coolest hair.
Oh my goodness. I love that.
Oh my gosh. So I have one opening question that I ask everyone, and we just kind of go from there, which is tell me the story of how you guys got started in worship ministry.
Okay. So
It's a big one. All right.
it might be a little bit long. I will try to.
That's okay. We are not on any kind of time constraints. At least I'm
Okay.
not. I don't know about you guys.
Okay. So I picked up, how do I want to start this? I picked up guitar, I think 3 times through the ages of like 10 to 13 and never stuck with it. The 4th time I was around 13 and it just stuck. I could play, I love to sing. And I don't really know when I started singing because when do you just sing or you don't sing? Like it's one of those things.
Pretty
And
much.
my first song at 14, and I was part of a youth group that very much only had room for the important people. So your
Oh.
doctors' kids, your lawyers' kids, that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
because I love to sing, I was part of the worship team. And I was very young, but God had just given me a lot of skills. Like I could transpose music just in my head. I could play well. I could sing on key.
Wow.
And it was one of those things that just when God gives people skills, he just gives people skills. And
Yeah.
that worship team, the kids were fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Everybody I worked with there, I still love and I have good relationships with. And they would ask me like, hey, can you do this really quick? Can you do that really quick? Because it was easy for me. I had those skills. But I was taken aside in a back room by a 50-year-old man a couple different times and told basically that I needed to stop doing this. I needed to not take over, he made it very clear that this belonged to his daughter.
Oh
And
my.
which would have been fine, except I was like, what am I doing? Like they asked for help. I don't understand where you're coming from. And
Yeah.
I lost a lot of confidence in that by thinking that I think this is what God wants me to do, but you're saying I shouldn't do it. So to lose a lot of confidence in there was a little bit hard, but it was through that same time that youth group had 2 bands in. One was from Massachusetts, one, I believe, where was it? Canada?
I think
It
so.
might be Canada. Yeah, that sounds right.
Something like that. So they had 2 bands in, and the worship team opened, and at that point, I wasn't on that worship team, and their electric guitarist dropped all of a sudden. So they gave me a call. I had never played electric guitar before. I had really only played acoustic, and it was like the brick road, yellow brick road, 4 chords is basically what I knew. And so I picked up electric guitar for those couple worship songs. And then they opened, and the promoter for one of the bands came up to me afterwards and said, I don't know who you are, but I really feel like God is telling me that I need to encourage you. And so he invited me up to his festival up in Massachusetts. And my mom at first was, who are you? And what do you want with my 14-year-old daughter? Right. But
Right.
I thought the worst thing that could happen was we didn't go. So it was my mom, dad, Christian, and I. We all hopped in the car, trucked up to Massachusetts, or down to Massachusetts, actually. And I played 2 opening songs, which Michael Sweet of Striper was the closer of that day. So I got to, in a roundabout way, I was one of like the first couple acts very early there.
Hey, you were on the same stage at some point.
There you go. Yes. And something there for me clicked. There were all sorts of different genres there. I'm talking like rock, there was reggae, there was gospel, there was super heavy metal, there was literally anything you can imagine. I think there might have been bagpipes at one point. Like it was very versatile festival.
Love it.
And something there clicked for me. I just knew that that was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So on the way home, I asked Christian, who had already dabbled in some drumming, said, "Hey, you want to start a band?" And he said,
"Yes."
And did you say it just like that?
Almost, yeah, basically.
Awesome. And to just clarify for those who don't know, Christian is your brother.
Yes, we were all siblings. Yep.
Okay, I didn't know that Leigh was your sister too. Oh my
yes. She is. And we'll get to that part of the story. Sorry if I keep looking sideways, by the way. We have our monitor here where you are. And I keep wanting to make eye contact with you. And then right, I got to look at the camera. Man, I gotta look at the camera. Oh my goodness.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. We played on the lawn of a bookstore for the first time under the banner of Undefeated. It was acoustic. We did all covers except for that one song that I had written. Christian played cajon, which is a box drum. And when I tell you this kid was socially anxious, he didn't face where you would face. He literally completely turned toward me and drummed like this the whole time. He says he doesn't do this. I have video evidence.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
That will surface at some point. And we just kind of played word of mouth from there. We enjoyed what we were doing. We weren't really trying to promote. It just, when people said, "Hey, I want you to play here." Cool. We went there, met new people. Cool. We went there. And we started wanting you to play full drums. And you did not want to do that.
I did not want to play full drums. I was just a very not on stage type of person. I don't know. I always hated that. And then my dad used to say, "Don't worry, the cymbals cover you." And so I was like, okay, no one can ever see me. The cymbals cover me. So I started doing live drums and stuff like that during our practice times, and then eventually did it live. And in my head, I was like, no one can see me. I'm covered by cymbals. And then looking back, I'm like, oh, I'm completely visible the whole time. So
the solution is you just need to get a drum kit like Neil Perry had.
Yeah, right?
Right. And he did have the wall of cymbals.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Because I think he was the same way. He hated to be seen. I
didn't know that either. That's definitely interesting. It definitely makes more sense now though.
He let the other two do all of the promotion, all of the, goofy stuff. And he was just very, very content to be in the background and let them do their thing. So yeah, you're not the only one. And another drummer that comes to mind that was very, very shy was the oh shoot. They were 70s group, also brother and sister. Oh my gosh, I'm losing their name. Somebody out there is screaming the Carpenters. That's what it was. The Carpenters.
Okay.
I've heard of them. I don't know.
Well, I barely knew them, and you guys are a lot younger than me. So, but yeah, Karen Carpenter, who sang lead, she actually sang lead from.
I did know that. Yeah, there's something going on Instagram with her, in her old set. Yeah, I have seen them actually. I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah.
And she was the same way. She was very socially awkward, very, very unsure and timid. But she had this gorgeous voice, and finally their manager managed to pull her away from those drums and put her up front, which wasn't great for her. But no, she has a tragic story. It was handled horribly. But anyway, she wasn't one of those, butterfly, unfortunately. One of those butterfly stories.
Know that. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I can show you guys who she was. Yeah, I definitely heard the name before. But then once I figured out that everyone could see me, I was like, oh, now that everyone can see me, I have to do something about it. You know what I mean? So now I'm way more comfortable behind the kit. I started doing stick tricks and different things like that definitely add elements into our show. And Yeah, I mean, we've
And
played so
built
much of this.
from there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
you do the stick flippy doos and all of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
He does
Awesome.
a lot of
Awesome.
it.
See, now your story's already more positive trajectory than Karen Carpenter's.
Yeah.
And thank God for that. So you guys were just playing around. You're at this point 14, 15 years old, Meredith?
Yes. Yeah, I think
Okay.
About right, yeah.
about right. Yeah.
What are the age differences?
Say that again.
What are your age differences?
So there's 1.5 years between us, and then 5 between us.
And I was like, it's a big gap from here to here, yeah.
Yeah, but there's 3 more around us. So I'm the oldest of 6. It goes me, Christian. We have Alex. Then we have Lease, and then
Two young
and then
guys,
2 young
yeah.
boys. Yeah.
Okay, wow. God bless your parents.
Yeah.
They're great. We had built-in friends.
I had 3 and it just about did me in.
Oh,
Oh man, no, we love it. But it was really like it was a family affair for a long time. My dad ran sound for us, and my mom did the merch table when we had merch, which came a year, 2 years later.
out
Yeah.
down, yeah.
And we started looking around, kind of wanting to take it to the next level, and we found a bassist, and we're like, this is gonna be great. We're gonna have a lot of fun. And we did. We had a lot of fun for a couple
The
years.
first time Meredith actually met him, he fell out of a tree. I'm not sure if she's gonna include that, but
Oh no.
About that because I was mutual friends with one of his friends, and so we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go meet Ian. That's gonna be so much fun. And I can't remember, we were at like a playground or a fairground or
yeah.
something, and he like swung out of a tree and like missed the landing. I'm like, this is great. Although that could be exaggerated a little bit right now. I don't really remember what happened.
It's been a long
It's been a long
time, yeah.
But we played
He's
with
not
him.
there to defend himself.
I know. Oh, we played with him for a couple years, and again, that was still word of mouth. We started growing. We were playing bigger venues, and at this point, we weren't charging.
I don't think so,
I don't
yeah.
know how to say that. Like it was word of mouth. We were just having fun doing it. We were still young, and he started a full-time job, and so to go at I don't know 16, 17 years old to 40 hours a week, and then you have a band. He was
Ah.
kind of like, oh, I like this, which totally understood. And so
Money, no money.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he stepped down, and we kind of were like, oh my gosh,
Like, where do we go from
where do
here?
we go
Yeah.
now? And that's when we realized we really want to do this for the rest of our lives, and take it as far as we possibly can. And so we kind of restructured everything, looked at it like a business, and started running it like a business. And we're still praying about a bassist. And meanwhile, Lise was like, hey guys, I'll do it. I'll do it. She didn't play bass at this time.
Don't forget me.
So I
Me
gave her
too.
my old, yeah, basically, I gave her my old bass. You took a couple lessons, learned the songs, and within 2 months she was flying. So why would I not use what God put in my own house?
Yeah.
And it's been 3 years with her, and the one thing that held us back initially was I have been saying for years, I'm like, I am not going to be a family band. That is so lame. Who does that? And for years, I have been saying this just for God to be like,
No.
Are you sure? And
But
it's
it's
literally
so
the best
cool.
thing ever now. Like I would not ever change
We
it for
never
the world. In
changed
fact,
it, yeah.
I'd suggest being in a band with your family.
Well, if you can get along with your family, sure.
Yeah,
I
true.
mean, there's some families who you wouldn't want them in the same room ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people come up to us afterward. They're like, "How do you guys like do this like as a family?" And we're like, "You just get along. Like
Yeah.
you just have to. Like it's just
Yeah, we were
Well,
raised in a family though that was very specific, like specifically team oriented.
yeah."
Mhm.
So because there's so many of us, these are your teammates, these are your siblings, these are your friends. And
Wow, what a great
I think that
instruction.
I was gonna say I think that kind of drives us a lot, and I didn't realize that other people didn't have that dynamic.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. It's crazy. Like my kids, I think Meredith, you're about the same age as my twins, about 21 right now.
23, yeah,
23.
just turned 20.
Okay, you're right in between my kids actually. But so I had 3 very close together. Had 3 under 3 for a while. So we did the same kind of thing and just encouraged, your friends may come and go, but this is your family.
Yeah.
Right,
You're
yeah.
stuck with your family. And so appreciate your family, love your family, even if you don't like each other every once, there are times you can
Yeah.
love someone and not like them for a little bit.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yes,
All the time.
exactly. Exactly. But, we did the same thing. And so our kids now the twins are 21 and our oldest is 24. Our kids now get along really well. And they have so many friends who, like you said, didn't grow up with that dynamic. Their families are, they come to our house for refuge, or, a couple of them have moved out, so to their apartment for refuge, because their families are just, there's too much tension, too much stress. They were never taught how to get along.
Yeah.
And I think, us at three was kind of, we're not really a big family, but they were so close together we had to. With six, yeah, I can really imagine. That's a you guys have to be in the same house a lot.
Yeah.
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 No, I think it's a lot of fun. We enjoy
It is a
it,
lot of
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
The one right after her, Ian, he's also the tallest. He'll come along on some longer festivals and run the merch table for us.
Oh,
Um,
great.
it's a lot
It's
of fun.
great.
It's definitely us. Like we're definitely the heart and soul of it, but there'll be different instances now where now we have like a team behind us, we're running it like a business. So it's rare when you need mom and dad, but when you do, it's the best. We're like, oh, it takes us back to the beginning.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I think when people, especially in kind of that unofficial capacity as worship leaders, oh, we're just going out to the coffee houses. We're not, we take a love offering and whatever we get, we go home with $20. Okay, we go home with $20, that kind of a thing. Been there, done that. But it's kind of difficult for, I think, a lot of worship leaders to take it to the next level and to really start to look at it as a business. So expand on that a little bit for me.
So we kind of realized, oh, did you have something you want to say?
No, you got it.
We realized that like we want to do this for the rest of our lives. We want to keep going. We feel this is where God is leading us, and we're more in the rock scene for sure, although we do lead worship in different church services as it becomes available and things like that. And it's not any different than you're providing a service for somebody, I guess. In the rock show sense
Rock show sense.
specifically.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit difficult because there are a lot of people that think, oh, give them $100, they'll play for 3 hours and you can go. And we're like, actually,
Whoa.
actually, no, that's not how that works. And it's definitely a work in progress because the way we like run things and send things, like we're still learning, we're still growing. I don't really know what else to say. If you want to take it to the next level, you have to look at the next level, look at where you want to go, and then follow the steps.
And then follow the
to that.
steps to get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that really is, like I said, is a good word. A lot of people don't think of it like that. They just think about it as, oh, well, I'm just going to go do this, and it's always just the side gig or whatever it is. I don't think a lot of worship ministers even think of it as a job. It's just something that they like to do, something that they feel like they have to do. God's calling them to do it, but to make it into a viable career, you're right. You absolutely right. You absolutely have to take that and look at it as a business and be very serious and intentional about what you do, where you go, where your money's coming from, where your outgo is. Yeah, we don't like to talk about money so much as Christians because God will provide, but yeah, he provides us with brains and accounting skills too.
Exactly.
We need to help him out.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So, okay, so you've been doing this now for almost 10 years, it sounds like. And
Just crossed 7, I think, or coming up on 7.
Yeah.
Something like that. We say seriously we've been doing it for about 3 years. But since the very first show.
The very first show,
Yeah,
it's been a little
about
bit, yeah.
7, yeah.
okay, well, I was going back to that first time when you played electric guitar at 14.
Oh yeah, so I guess.
Technically, yeah. I mean, the band wasn't even established at that point, but sure.
Right.
Like that, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because I am a firm believer that every success story has a detractor, and we know exactly who that detractor is for you already. If given the chance, what would you want him to know? What would you say to him? Because he's probably still influencing kids.
If I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't know who I am and what I stood for. So I don't think I would change anything. And there are times when you step past people. And because God is saying, I want you to go that way, and these people come in and try to knock you off your path, and instead of turning your feet and turning your focus toward them and addressing what they're doing, you need to completely take a step away and go, cool, you think that, but this is where God is leading me and this is where I'm going. So I think it's one of those things that you keep your eyes on the right place and you keep walking.
You guys were obviously raised very firmly in the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's excellent. I mean, my gosh, that's a really mature way to look at that.
Mm.
I
Way
think
to look at it now. I don't know.
what's that?
I feel like it's the only way like you can look at it at this point. Just like
It was so long
it
ago
was so
too,
long ago at
yeah.
this point, yeah. So it's just
Well, you can I look at it like as you're telling me, one, like I said, every good success story has a detractor, has someone who makes that impact, and had they listened to that person, they would have never been a success, that kind of a thing. So that guy gets to be that in your story. But I also look at it as the other side of think of the blessing though, if he had stepped in and encouraged rather than discouraged,
Yeah.
what could that have meant to you as a budding artist, to you as a beginning musician? And what is he missing because he didn't accept that role? Instead, he chose to further his own personal intentions.
Yeah, that's again one of those things that if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't know who I am.
Right.
So I can't speak for somebody else, of course,
mhm.
but I think that everybody has to go through things to stand and know like exactly who they are, and you can't tell me differently. And I mean that in a sense, not, oh, I am who I am and I'm gonna act the way I want and you can't.
Right,
I
right.
mean, like, I know this is what I believe and I know this is why I believe it. And yeah, I don't really, yeah.
Mom and I were having kind of a similar conversation earlier today. She was just saying like how we were talking about grandma and different things like that. Mom was just
Mhm.
telling me. And along the same line, she's like, everybody has their opinions on like what we do and tell us like what we should do, where we should go, what songs we should write. I mean, like our father's done this, mom's done this, grandma's done this. I mean, a bunch of my old managers have done this, and everybody wants to craft us into what they see. And
Mhm.
had we done any of like that advice, like if we had taken any, I mean, some opinions are definitely good to have, but like
Constructive criticism is different than opinions. I'll
right,
say
yeah,
that.
that
Yeah.
is true, yeah. And they're like, we want you to do this, we want you to do that. And we're kind of like, but we want to do what we feel God is telling us to do.
Mhm.
And had we listened to anybody that's like said, you guys should do this, you guys should do this, you
Mhm.
guys should do this. I mean, we've had hundreds of things like that.
And it wasn't even
Then
should, it's you will do this
you
or
will do this,
you're never gonna do anything else.
yeah, we would never be where we are today. I mean, we
Yeah.
play
Wow.
out all the time at this point, festivals and some bigger things. And I don't
Big
think we would
stages,
even be
yeah.
on the road had we listened to any of those people. Had we like the one thing that I can just say is like knowing that God has the best interest for us and just continuously following him, not straying left or right or trying like literally not directing your feet at these other people that are just like, you guys should do this and like the glam and glory and whatever,
Yeah.
that we are where we are because of that. And I love where we are. So
And it is hard when you're young and weeding through all those voices. So
yeah.
there's definitely times that we've stepped wrong, but I feel like if your heart is in a good place, like your heart is trying to follow what God wants, that he's faithful to, oh, that wasn't what I wanted you to do. We're gonna go right here, you know?
Mhm.
I'd rather then smack.
Yeah.
Well, I always say, he will guide you with a feather if you let him. But those brick walls are really hard.
Yes.
And
Oh.
we've seen people get clocked with some frying pans, we call it, and we don't
Yep.
want to experience
The
that.
cast iron comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I'm just listening to you and you make me feel old, which is fine. It's okay.
Fine.
But no, I say it all the time on Red's Room and with Joe. I tease him all the time. I'm like, I am old. It's fine. But no, I'm just amazed at the level of maturity. You just don't hear 20 somethings talk like just to have that vision, to be so secure in their relationship with God, to know what his vision is. I mean, my goodness, I don't think there are a lot of 23-year-olds who would even consider what God wanted for their lives, let alone have been doing this for, for the last 6, 7 years, confident in their calling. It's just it's amazing to me to listen to you just speak, and I can only just go back to the same uh description earlier. It's just so with such maturity, what spiritual maturity. It's really refreshing. And I did not mean that to sound condescending as it did. I
No.
swear to you.
We like to have a lot of fun
We
too.
have fun, yeah.
Good, 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 good. That's all this is supposed to be. It's just good fun, good fun. But it really is. It's so nice to hear just that clarity of, no, this is God's calling in my life. I know it. This is the direction I'm going to go. And I'm thinking, as a teenager, just in my life, to have adults speak into my life at 17, 18, 19 years old, you know, I would usually listen to them. Like I would instantly go to, oh, well, they obviously know better than me. I'm just a kid, and allow them to direct me. Whereas you are just very firm in, no, no, this is my path. This is where God's taken me. And look at how he's blessed you.
Yeah, that's very true. My mom says since I was a kid, I was very much, no, I know where I'm going. No, no, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want to eat that.
Oh my
I'm a very
gosh.
strong-willed child in person.
Like, oh,
I will say
siblings.
it pays off in a lot of
It
ways.
does, yeah.
I love how brother and sister are like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Listen, I do all the booking and managing for our band. I tell them where to be and when. And you know what?
It
They do
works.
it.
Works. Yep, it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly,
go.
yeah.
So let me ask, just Christian, let me start with you.
Oh boy.
Your perspective. So now we know the basics of how you guys got started, and basically you're realizing, oh yeah, my path is with my sister here, and again, fairly young. Tell me a little bit more about, because you mentioned that you had some anxiety issues, some discomfort issues going into this. Tell me a little bit about how that process was for you.
So I don't think it was necessarily like anxiety by any means. It was just more like um hmm, I was young. Um, I wanted to play drums, but like I was never like confident in my abilities. If
Mm.
like that would be like the biggest thing. I'd always just be like drums are loud, you know what I mean? And like if I play them badly, like people just like that's like kind of what like ran through my head. Like, man, drums are just so loud and you know what I mean?
Those mistakes are going to ring so loud.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it
Got
was just
it?
like I as how old was I when I joined the worship team at church? 14, 15?
14, I'll say 14.
14, 15. Yeah, so after I joined Undefeated, founding member. Um, I did join the worship team at our local church because they needed a drummer, and that I feel like that really helped me just stage presence wise and stuff like that. Not that it was like
A show.
a show by any means, but it
Right.
just helped me as young as wow, being that young at that time. It really helped me just like understand that like mistakes happen and it's cool, and it just really helped grow my craft. And then that's when I really buckled down and started practicing. And
Mm.
after you practice for years and years and years, you begin to realize that drums are loud and they're supposed to be loud. And if you're gonna make mistakes, make big ones because it's
Yep.
more fun that way. I'm not even
Own
gonna.
it. Own
Um,
those mistakes. Who cares?
yeah. Basically, yeah. So I got to a point where I just practiced so much and felt confident in my ability that I was fine getting up on stage. And it was like we had one show with a rapper, and that's where I kind of came out of my shell a little bit and like really God showed me like it's okay to be like have fun and do all of this
It's
other
okay to
stuff
put on a show in a show
in a
setting.
show setting. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of where my mind was at. Just I kind of just grew as an artist and as a person. So, and everybody grows out of that eventually. So,
And
Well,
back.
you'd be surprised.
well, I
Not everybody.
like grow out of it as in like what's it called? Like
Like
exposure. Like if you're
Mhm.
continuously exposed to it, even
Ah, yes.
exposure therapy. Yeah, some guy just said that
Yeah.
we were with. Eventually, like it should break the ice a little bit, or at least it did with me. So,
I think that, yeah, that's a definite line of thought. Absolutely.
yeah. So.
Yeah. To piggyback off that just a little bit, because we've been asked before, about stage fright, about anxiety on stage and all that type of thing, which she can speak more about. But
Okay, you're next.
one of our, or two of our biggest sayings, I guess. First of all, I believe that if you were created for something, God has created literally every single part of you to do that.
Right.
Mhm.
Whether it be come down to like how you eat, how dye takes in your hair, like I don't know.
I just
Like very specific things. I believe that God has literally specifically made you for your calling. So
Wait, what? Wait, Meredith, that's not your natural hair color?
it is though.
I'm
oh.
sorry, I had to.
I've had this for almost 8 years. So like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whenever someone says Meredith, I just think of her with green hair, and they're like, "Do you
Yeah.
ever remember Meredith with brown hair?" I'm like, "Not even."
I-
When I look at
yeah.
photos, I'm like, "That doesn't look like Meredith." You know what I mean? Like
No.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
No, you're one of those ones where, wow, that actually just looks like your natural hair color. No.
yes.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I didn't mean to totally
No,
derail.
no, you're good.
No.
That was a side conversation that I remembered, and I was like, oh, that'd be funny. Anyway, back to my point. One of Christian's favorite sayings is, "If you're nervous, you didn't practice enough."
Mm.
Because muscle memory will kick in, all that. And then one of my
Muscle memory is shout out to muscle memory. You rock. Like
Amen.
memory. And then one of my sayings is, what is one of my sayings?
I don't know where you were going.
Oh, if you're nervous, that's because your eyes are too much on yourself.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if you are like performing in a specific show aspect, I'm speaking of that. Worship has a very different avenue, a very different
yeah.
heart behind it. Although I believe that those both can be blended in certain aspects. But for the show, if you are so nervous, that's just your eyes are on yourself. The minute you
They're
step on
looking at
stage,
you too much.
yeah, and if you make the show about the person in the audience and you want them to have a reprieve from life on that night, you want to give them a good time, it's no longer on you. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. As a performer, it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I think what you said is, if this is what God wants you to do, he equips you.
Yeah.
He
Right.
absolutely does. He absolutely does. So, at least coming to you, tell me your experience coming and being included as part of the band.
So I joined 3 years ago, and I've only been playing bass for that amount of time. So they've had a lot more experience, like their crowds, like their instrument and stuff. So I, in my view, was kind of thrown off the deep end and told to swim, pretty much.
Basically.
Yeah, I was hearing that, definitely.
I jumped in. I had to learn all these songs. I had to have a good like stage presence. So I had to like travel more ground quickly than what they did when they were growing. And I am a very shy, quiet person. Like I'm in the back of the classroom, I don't talk. Like that's just
very introverted.
I'm very introverted.
Like
but
doing this used to be very, very hard.
Very hard, yeah. You have to draw things out.
It doesn't show at all.
but like being I've also like growing and even like getting older, I've gotten like more comfortable with who I am and like figure out my own personality and who I want to be, which helps a lot. And like, yeah.
If you don't know, I do feel like ballet also had a little
Yeah.
bit of a role in that. Lisa's a
Okay. Yeah, I
level
didn't know
up.
ballet was part of that. So
I
you did have some stage experience.
Exactly.
yes, but I always hated it. I didn't like it because like my limbs would always get like really shaky.
Oh.
Meredith, so I don't know how you figure this out, but you somehow like converted nervousness to like
Oh yeah,
energy.
convert nervous.
Yeah.
And like so before every show, I always like do squats. I like stretch a little bit just to convert all that, get all that shakiness out of my system. So like when I go up on stage, I'm like very stable.
Yeah. I tell that if you are shaky before a show or super amped up in a bad way,
squat,
do some sort of physical
push-ups,
exercise.
Sprint for a half a mile.
No, it really does. It takes
Give me 10 burpees.
Yeah, it takes all that extra energy and converts it into adrenaline. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Calm
adrenaline.
Yeah. Yes. See, now I have to ask, knowing that you started with ballet, is there any chance of you like going wireless and doing pirouettes as you play?
She kind of does.
She does.
I do like a couple spins, not quite ballet style. If my ballet teacher was watching this, she'd be like, "Oof, I can't look." Like,
she did classical ballet.
Very classical.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
classical.
I always want to like sometimes integrate ballet moves into it, but I don't know. Maybe eventually.
We're still working it out, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I'm just seeing, a niche for the pirouetting bassist.
Yeah. Yeah,
write that down.
Is that ballet requires like your legs, and obviously I have a base, so like and it kind of like rests
on your legs,
like
on your
my
thigh.
legs, on my thigh pretty much. So it's like sometimes like kind of hard to like lift up my leg or do something because I have a block of wood in the way.
She's like, this thing.
I have faith in you. You'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
You go.
You never know.
You never exactly. You never know. You'll figure it out. So, Meredith, you touched on something that I want to come back to. You mentioned the difference between a show and worship. Tell me your thoughts on that.
So, we have had a lot of wonderful experience. When I say church in these next couple sentences, I mean the building of a church. I don't mean like the living, breathing church body of Jesus. There were a lot of people, and they still are a lot of people who believe anything rock music is not of Jesus. It can't be, it doesn't make sense. And then we have a lot of people that are incredibly supportive as well. And my thoughts behind it are, I think worship is a heart attitude toward the Lord. There are times when you need to have a congregate worship of praising the Lord. That is not going to be a show. That is not going to be an entertain yourself. That is a moment of like a connection between you and Jesus, a connection of with the body, praising him together. But then there's also the aspect of just some good old-fashioned music that you can all have a party to.
Heck yeah.
And there is no reason that still can't honor the Lord. You can still have your clean lyrics. You can still have positive messages. It's just a different style. And it's okay to not like that style as well. When we've kind of very much turned towards, we feel like we are supposed to do this and we're going to follow that with as much as we can. I can't say we always get it right. But I can say we have so many stories of just the blessing of Jesus as we tour and as we travel, and things just happen. One of them being we had moved from a 5-seater van to an 8-seater van, and we had all of our gear in there. Lease was literally riding like this.
There was one time our trailer broke, so I had to have a big bin on my lap. So I was like
12
this
hours
with
straight.
Oh my
my
gosh.
feet over it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you're small.
My legs were hurting by the end of the day.
It was very crowded
It was
in that vehicle.
crazy.
Yeah.
And we were busting out the seams of that vehicle. And we knew, like, we're like, okay, God has not provided a bigger vehicle for us yet. Therefore, we don't need it. So we were praying over a bigger van, whatever that looked like. And we played a show in Indiana.
New Albany.
New Albany, Indiana, yep. And the pastor, because that was a church show, the pastor was watching us load everything, and everything had a specific spot.
Everything, yeah.
You have to.
If it did
Yeah.
not go in that exact way, the trunk would not shut.
You had to like
Yep.
tilt it just enough
Yeah.
and then stick it and
Yeah.
then close it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you get it closed, take a picture because you can't change anything.
Oh no, I got it all up here. I got it all up here.
He's our resident packer.
Nice. Nice.
And he said, hang on, guys, I'm gonna be right back. And so he comes back 10 minutes later and goes, we have a 15-passenger van in our garage that has been sitting for 10 years, has 80,000 miles on it. We've just used it to go around town and pick up older folk for the church, and we want to give it to you. And garage kept, nothing was wrong with it.
Super nice. Yeah.
And so we stayed in Ohio the next night, and we're talking to another friend of ours. We're saying, hey, can you just pray over this for us? We don't really know what to do. And he goes, no, I will not pray over that. We're like, what do you mean?
Whoa.
Like, we need some help making a decision. And he goes, did you not ask God for, like, what have you been praying for? A van. Like, did he not just give you one? And we all went, huh, yeah,
That's good.
you know what? I think you're
Flashing neon sign of an answer.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, yeah, but are you sure, Lord? And so we said yes to that van, and
like that day, yeah.
yeah, we I mean, we had to get we've had to get like tires. We had to redo a bunch of the wiring and things like that. But it has been such a blessing to us. There is so much room. We're already starting to max.
I have a full 3 seats to lounge in.
That's true. She's got
Instead of one,
whole
there's like half a seat.
These are actually some of the seats from it that we took
I
out.
took some of the seats out, yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
Love it.
yeah, she does. She's going back there and she's like, ah. And
My
it's
bench.
been such a blessing.
No
Like, it's
boxes allowed.
Yeah, exactly. It's allowed us to travel so much further than we
It's
would have
awesome.
been able to.
Yeah.
And that was one of those things that we're like, all right, God knows what he's doing. Another just recent story is last year, because that was our first time. When we had picked up the van, we were planning on touring with that. And we were looking at our finances and we're like, we don't know if we can afford to literally make all the shows we can book. And of course, like we get paid per show. But making it to,
Going show to show is not a good idea.
Yeah, we like to have a little bit
leeway.
room, yeah.
Yeah.
So we had one straight trip to Indiana and back.
It's a one-off.
I guess this is actually 2 stories in one. This was a one-off. This was okay, we're gonna take the van. We're going to kind of price out how much gas is going to be per gallon. We're gonna see how that works, all of that. And we were running bare bones this year. Oh, that was why. So I had okay, this is gonna be, I'm gonna try to keep this all.
Rewind.
Yeah, rewind again. So before this happened, I had vocal problems. My voice was going out about every 2 weeks, every month. It was absolutely, Christian's telling me to chill. I couldn't speak, I couldn't sing, I was in a lot of pain, and things were just happening like, why? This doesn't make any sense to me. I had my tonsils removed. That wasn't really even the problem. I was having really bad non-symptomatic acid reflux. So all of this, it's like laryngeal, like it's this whole name for basically non-symptom acid reflux, but it was burning holes in my vocal cords, which was one of the problems. So we're
you get that acid up in there. Yeah.
It's not fun. So I'm about 85% healed now. It's been about 2 years.
Wow.
And that took a long time to heal. So we were out of work for like 7 months before I was even able to sing a while.
Yeah.
So that was why
that was scary.
Yeah, that's why we were worried. And because if I'm out, they're out.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
That's it. Game over.
Yeah. So we were kind of like, okay, we're gonna take this trip. We'll be able to price things out. We'll be able to figure out that way. And so we came home with $1,500 more than we even expected to make on that trip. And to a lot of people, that might not sound like a lot. But to get paid, you know, what you're expecting, and then to also God be like, not only am I gonna do that, I'm gonna also give you this to say that
Yeah.
I have you covered, you're fine. And it wasn't so much the money as it was the message of I have you covered, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do this, keep going, even if you don't see it. And so we left. We're like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're just gonna go out. And sure enough, all the finances were there. So the very first leg of that tour was a week and a no, it was 1 week long. Well, it was more
8 shows?
8 shows in 7 days, and
Yeah.
then we were home for 2 days and then gone again for a couple weeks. But those 8 shows in 7 days, we're from upstate New York. We're near the Canadian border, so it takes us 5 hours to even hit Pennsylvania.
To get out of
And
New
that's
York.
to get out of New York, yeah. So we went all the way. We hit Indiana, Illinois. We dropped down to Kentucky and Tennessee, and then back up to New York. So I don't know how many hours that is in a van.
A
A
lot.
lot.
We were driving 3 to 6 to 7 hours a day. And we came home, and we have hotel rooms in our contract, but some of these we got ourselves, just how things worked out. And we came home with $200 out of our account. That was it. I hadn't put any money in from our contracts, from our merch sales, from donations, anything
Nothing,
like
yeah.
that. I hadn't put any of that into our account from those 7 days, and only $200 had come out. Our gas tank takes $80, $90
fill up,
alone
yeah.
to fill up.
Yeah. I'm
so-
thinking you can barely eat for a week for $200.
Exactly.
Exactly. And to have that happen, I don't know how that happened.
To this day,
I
yeah.
understand that God's math is not my math, but
Right.
like, what?
Well,
Rivers and fishes thing all over again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
My
so it's one of
goodness.
those things that God continually does
Blesses and
crazy
shows,
things.
yeah.
Yeah, to be like, oh, okay, we are in the right spot. We are going the right way. And that's one of those stories that we just like, we know we're supposed to keep doing the rock thing. We know that's where we're supposed to go. And as believers, obviously our music will reflect that. But we don't necessarily label it, if that makes sense.
Sure. Sure. I know when I first started out, that was my question. It was, okay, well, am I going to be a Christian artist, or am I going to be an artist who's a Christian?
Yeah.
And the answer always came back to me. You are an artist who's a Christian. You are always representing, but you're not necessarily always doing specifically Christian music.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because, sometimes you do have the opportunity to go into secular venues, or with me, I'm in a secular band as well.
Mhm.
And so I always need to be mindful when I go into, well, let's just say it, bars. When I go into bars to play, I'm watching the songs that we do, but also I'm watching for opportunities, and you would be amazed at the opportunities that present themselves
Oh no, yeah,
in
100%.
between the sets. And especially when they see that, and that's why I had to get that. I truly believe that God, that was something that, Daddy told me to do. So that whenever I can't speak, I can at least say, thank you for coming, good night,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. But yeah, so that makes perfect sense, at least to me, that yes, you are Christian. Yes, your songs are going to be more positive. Some of them are going to be more overt, but not all of them are necessarily Christian.
Yeah. And again, it's semantics and it's labels, a lot of people are very stuck on labels, and we're like, listen, we love music.
That's it.
We hope you do too. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you tell me about your writing process, like, we're kind of going there anyway. So when did you realize, hey, this is something that, I can definitely do, we can definitely do together? I don't know what your process is. So, just tell us a little bit about that.
I start out, so I write on acoustic. It's very folksy. It's very singer-songwriter-y. I have like the melodies and the lyrics.
Yep.
Yeah, singer-songwriter-y. That's a word.
That's a word. That's a word.
And so I like have the main lyrics and the melodies down, and the vibe of the song, so to speak. And I bring it to him,
And she brings it to me.
yeah.
So then I take a look at the song and be like, okay, I love this. We'll keep this. We'll keep that. Scratch that.
And I say, no, I like that. Put it back in.
Basically. And then Meredith and I will sit down up here in our little workstation, kind of.
Yeah,
And
you can see the drums.
you can see the drums in the back. So
Yes.
so she'll play a little bit, then I'll kind of get a sense of beat for it, where she wants the song to go, kind of what the vibe is. And typically we'll switch it over to electric unless she's like, I want to do like this acoustically. And that changes the process completely because then that's just mostly Meredith. But then when we switch over to electric, then we kind of just get the different rhythms. We'll add breakdowns, add screams, do some other stuff, get the drum part down, be it toms or cymbal work or anything along those lines. When we have that kind of figured out and have like a good bass, we'll swing it over to Leigh.
I come in and I don't really write my own bass lines right now. I kind of take whatever Meredith is playing and kind of convert it onto bass.
I kind of tell her, I'm like, here's what you're gonna start with.
Yeah.
And then I like line up with Christian's kick or snare or whatever.
Yeah.
So my part is a combination of kind of like what they're doing.
She combines
but,
what
like,
we do into her own thing.
Yeah. She'll take, or what is it? I give you notes, he gives you rhythms.
Yeah.
And we go from there.
Okay.
And then when we get into the studio, that all changes.
Yeah,
we get a good like bass here, and then we scratch track it. It changes a little bit, and then we go to get it like actually recorded, where we pay good money. That is when.
And it adds all like the
It
little
adds.
elements, like the bells and the whistles, which are literally bells and whistles.
Yeah, and it
behind.
completely changes the song again, which is great to see. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you guys have found, your rhythm and how to do that. I think every band has their own little twist on
Yeah.
what the process is. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, where was I going with that? Oh my gosh. Studio. Yes. So how long have you been able to what was your first album and how many have you done so far?
Ooh, so our very first CD, if you have it, like it's not in no, it's not in production anymore. It's not. I think we have 2 songs up on YouTube. This was a very acoustic. We had Anchors, we had Deacon Song.
Anchors, Deacon Song.
The other ones. No,
we never recorded that one.
Yeah, that was our very, very first. Like there was nothing else but those 4 instruments: guitar, vocals, bass, drums. Like
I remember I had to set up my old drum kit for
Yeah.
that, and it was like an old black set that sounded terrible, and I didn't know how to tune. And he's like, "Nah, it sounds good." And young me was like, "All right."
I dropped a pick at one point, and you hear the clatter in the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second one we did with that band manager that invited me to Massachusetts, the band that he managed, the drummer's brother owned a recording studio. So
Okay.
we worked with him for an album, and that was the Shadows
EP. Yep.
Yep. And then we have the guy we are with now. His name is Chris. He is the guitarist for Baby Metal. He's a hired gun. Yeah. So he
Okay.
plays Baby Metal, Motionless in White, Ice Nine Kills.
A bunch of
3
things.
to name off the top of my head.
He just started his new project too, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
So.
So we've been working with him for a couple of years. The past 10 songs.
10 songs?
Something like that.
That's about right. 10 songs sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a really neat experience. This is another thing about running your business and running a band. If you have something you want to do, you have to put in the work.
You have to do
for
it.
it. Our recording day last year, so we were recording 5 songs. We had 6 days to do it.
Mhm.
We played a festival in Mexico. So we were 2 hours south of Mexico City. Like Mexico.
Yeah.
And we were there for 5 days. We literally flew in to the airport nearest our house, drove an hour and a half to our house, switched out our laundry, and then drove 6.5 hours to the recording studio, which was in Pennsylvania.
Here's the best part. So before we all went to Mexico, I was flown down to Florida to do a show with a band called Morning Eve. It was their first show and they needed a drummer. So I had 3 days to learn like 10 songs and I was flown down there. I was up for like 48 hours, came home, slept a full day. We went the next day, we all went down to Mexico.
Yeah.
Slept terrible, all of those. Stayed one night in when we were coming back, we stayed a night in a airport, which was not fun.
Yeah, that was hard. They
Yeah.
played loud music the whole night.
They had like
Oh.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. Drove here, went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and then went to the studio.
No, we didn't. We didn't have a night over.
I think we just came back to
we had 3 hours to pack up and go.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh my,
'Cause
yeah.
we missed Easter, I think it was. So we got home and my mom had made us Easter baskets. We're like, oh my gosh, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
I texted my mom to mail my Easter basket to me. She said no. Multiple times, might I add.
So it was a
Yeah.
busy
yeah, so we
months.
we get to the studio, and then that next morning, so we're in the studio by 10, or 8 or 10, something like that. So we literally record from 10 to 6, and then my bedtime is 10. So I go we drive back home from the studio. We're staying at an Airbnb from 6 to 10. We are literally
rewriting the song,
listening to that song over and over and over again and making it better, taking pieces out, adding pieces, all these little things.
Makes me tired just to even think about
I know.
it.
Those long days. And then we go to bed, we get up between 7 and 8, do the same thing until we have to leave, and then do that for 7 days straight. So when we got home, I think we crashed for about 2 days straight. Yeah.
Well, I had to go back to school.
Yeah, and she had to go right back.
He was back in school. I went back to college. So
Oh my goodness.
you know, if you want something, you work for it. You really do.
This is also why.
Oh, never mind. Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
I was like, I don't have many fond memories of it, to be honest.
They're long days.
They're long days.
This is also why old people who are, don't break into this genre or this profession very well, because it takes that kind of work. And us old people just don't do that.
I don't say that.
Yeah. Once you get to my age, if you haven't already done it, you're not going to do it like that. It's just no. I'm tired thinking about it, just hearing about it.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. It takes energy to do that. I don't have that much.
I have never been a coffee drinker in my life. I'm water and maybe some lemonade. I don't like carbonation. I don't like coffee. Like, I don't like anything like that. And just in the past couple months, I understand.
Disgusting.
I'm understanding coffee a little bit. I really am. I don't know if I can really call myself a coffee drinker yet, because I only like Dunkin' Donuts and I only like cold brew.
Okay.
So I don't know where that leaves me, but I have discovered a little bit.
She's hardcore judging.
I think
Oh my goodness.
I'm a coffee snob.
Yeah, you're like, Dunkin',
What is that?
No, but I'm just hearing, Dunkin' is the gateway. So,
Yeah, you don't never know, I guess.
It's okay. You'll go from cold brew and then you'll try one of those lattes maybe once or twice and think, oh,
You're like, talk to me in a couple months.
Yeah, if not a couple months, at least a year. I say we probably touch back on this in a year, and you are like down in espressos, and a macchiato's like the lightest you'll go.
I don't know what all those terms mean. I have no idea.
Again,
like you wait.
No. Espresso is a really strong brewed coffee, and
I do know that, but like all the milk differences and stuff, like I saw a diagram and I was like, that's cool, but I don't.
Yeah,
it's coffee. Come on.
Oh my goodness, it'll get you though. It will. Oh my gosh. Now I started drinking coffee when I was young. I was in high school, and I think my senior year was pretty much, I had an early morning class and I could not wake up for it. I'm not a morning person anyway. Everyone say hi to Hammy. Hammy is a fixture on any of my recordings because he loves to have his tail in the picture.
It's true.
Come here. No, you can't just drive by. Come here. Say hi. Hello. That's Hammy,
Oh my goodness.
my stupid orange boy. Anyway, it's his middle name. Hammy, stupid orange boy Clouda.
Good to meet you.
What's that?
I said good to meet you.
Yep. Oh, this cat is he's so brain damaged. It's not even funny. We love him to death, but I mean, look at that. There is no brain cell in there. It's fine. There's nothing going on behind those eyes.
Do you guys know what that cat in Puss in Boots? And it pops up for maybe like 3 seconds. Your cat looks like that.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
I don't know if you guys. Okay, never mind.
But anyways, he always has to do a drive-by. But yeah, I started drinking coffee my senior year just because I'm not a morning person, and 7:30 comes way too early. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since. But I started out with, lots of creamer, lots of sugar. There was a little bit of coffee in there. Uh-huh. Yeah.
She's like,
And it took a while. So it may take you some years to get in there, but I predict at some point you will be like espresso me. And and oh, I suppose I'll settle for Dunkin'.
oh my gosh, yeah.
If I have to.
I must.
Yes. If I must. Although I mean, I think New York is technically not New England, but you're New England adjacent. It's almost a crime to not like Dunkin' out here.
Yeah, I think
Oh, throw me in jail.
he really she likes monsters. What do you like? I forget. You have something specific you like?
Chocolate milk.
That is true. I'm a big chocolate milk fanatic. Yeah.
As in gallons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It literally, so I typically I'll have chocolate milk with probably breakfast and lunch. Very rarely dinner, but then I'll always have a glass before I go to bed as well.
And glass as in like
Oh yeah.
24 ounce.
Oh yeah.
30
Oh yeah. I run through gallons of milk. It's crazy.
He's like, these bones, you can't say nothing.
Yeah, when we leave, that's like the one thing I miss the most probably because we don't take milk or chocolate syrup. So
we don't have a big enough cooler yet. Coolers are expensive and it's a want, it's not a need.
It's a want, not a need. Yeah. So
I can see that. I can see that. And if you buy it you see what I mean? Zero brain. Anyway. And if you buy it in the little things, that's expensive.
Way too
in those little
expensive, yeah.
bottles.
Yeah.
Especially when you have to buy 6 at a time.
exactly.
So who's the accountant of the group? Who runs the money?
Yeah, I do.
That's a
Again,
surprise.
like we each have our role, and that's the other thing that makes it work very well. I do all like the booking, managing, everything that goes into that. I tell y'all what to do,
Yeah.
and they just say yes, ma'am. But it
And
keeps
how much
everything
money they have to
Yeah,
spend.
I run social media.
Yeah.
I do radio stations, and then I feel like recently I do like all like the gear type stuff. Like I run in-ear rigs, backing tracks, make sure everything like wireless mics work, all of that.
On
And
stage stuff.
on stage
Yeah.
stuff, that's all me. And
I'll make sure all the logistics behind that are all worked out.
right.
Yeah.
And then I pack as well, make sure everything is loaded in the van.
He has a little checklist so we don't forget anything.
Yes.
But
Please.
I run like most of the aspects of merch. I
Merch.
like fold up the t-shirts, restock all the bins, set up the merch, like
tell me what we need to order.
yeah. I'm mostly the one who like sells like at the merch table.
She's the salesman.
I will mostly always be there where they will like be taking the gear off stage,
Yeah.
on stage. I just kind of man the merch table. So
That's cool. That's cool. So do you guys work with a sound guy or do you run that on your own?
We don't travel with one. The venues that
I
we
want
play.
to. I want
Yeah.
to. Eventually, yes.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
venues we play are provided
Yes.
usually.
And most of the times they're very good at what they do, to be
Yeah.
honest, though. Yeah, very
Yeah.
few times we run into someone where I'm just like, oh, but
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
I worked with a guy once. I kid you not. This guy was surprised that the vocalists wanted to hear themselves.
Oh.
Yeah, things like that. Like it's just like the random tidbit of information. You're
Yeah.
like, oh,
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 you
that's
you
fine.
can't
Like,
hear your voice in that monitor?
Yeah.
Why?
And that's the nice thing about running in-ears is that he controls all
I
of our
control
in-ears.
everything that we hear now, which
Oh
is
yeah, I did
super
this
nice.
guy. I didn't even try to use my in-ears with this guy. He was so totally lost. He was doing good that he got the monitors turned on.
That does happen every now and then. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone starts out somewhere, so I totally get it. I mean, when I first started out as well, I had many issues, and the hardest thing about the music industry is you can't ask questions. You can, but a lot of people will just give you like the slightest little bit of information that's
Or
like,
like, you don't know that yet? And you're
yeah,
like,
or they'll like, yeah, they're like, oh, you don't know that yet, and I'm like, I'm young. I don't.
like I'm trying to learn.
I'm trying to
Will you
learn.
teach me?
Yeah, and very
Yeah.
few times, like we just had a show where our wireless mics were having a little bit of ring, and I asked the sound guy, I'm like, how do I stop that? And he was
He sat
super,
down and talked with him for a
super
very long
willing.
time
Yeah,
about how it
Nice.
worked. And
which was awesome. And I love people like that. So
I want to be people like that. You know
I
what I
want to,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
truly, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, my husband, he'll usually, and he learned how to do sound so he can be my sound guy. He usually is my sound guy
Awesome.
when I go out. This other guy, I was with a different band. Joe wasn't involved, and yeah, I came home and complained a lot about that guy.
It happens.
It happens.
It
Yeah.
does. It does. You just kind of grin and bear it and do the best you can through the show and pray that, the audience is hearing things a lot better than you are. And go by muscle memory.
98%
Trust
of the
that,
time it'll work out. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, go by muscle memory. Trust that what you're singing is actually right because wow, I couldn't hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
felt right though.
look at that. Yeah. You heard that? That's cool.
Oh, yes. But yeah, over the years, people have come alongside him to help him. So that's something that he is very passionate about. If you actually, so like when you are coming out to my church's coffee house, April, oh shoot, help me with the date.
End of April, I think, right?
It's the third weekend of April. It's
Yeah.
not Easter weekend, is it?
I
You
don't know.
couldn't
I
tell
don't
me.
believe so. Hang on. Let
I don't
me.
think so.
Might be because that's the week that I'm on break
break
from
out the
school.
calendar.
Yeah, breaks from school. Very nice.
Goodness, where is it?
Or no,
Easter.
you're coming in May, not April.
That's okay. I was
gonna say.
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
okay,
But
so
anyway.
17th.
Yes.
17th of May.
Okay. I was remembering the 17th, but I'm like, no, that would be Easter weekend. But no, it's a different month. Anyway, so
Well,
like,
I'm like, I thought it was around here too, but
yeah. So anyway, when you guys come down, like if you, a Christian, wanted to ask him anything, he'd be like, what, you want to learn? Absolutely. So
I'll definitely have a list of questions, probably. I'm not even gonna lie. Like,
perfect. Perfect. He absolutely adores that. Anyone with a brain and a desire to learn, because he's used to me and
I try.
no, he's used to me and I don't have either of those. So
You know, to teach their own, I guess.
we balance each other out.
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
No, I've called myself the family flake, and no one in the family has disagreed with me yet. So
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
That's me.
That's you?
No, I'm kidding.
We have a joke where we share a brainwave. We share a brainwave, but they share a brain cell.
Yep.
nice. Nice.
They will say things that are very much, I'm like,
What? Yeah.
what
No,
is,
'cause, like we'll understand it. We'll be like, yeah, great idea, great idea. Martha's over here.
and I'm like, you guys, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then they'll be like, no, it should work out. Like, watch this. And they do it. And they're like, oh, I see what you were saying
Oh,
now.
I now understand.
Yeah, it's like pouring like water with a hole. They're like, no, the hole's on the side, it won't matter. And sure enough, you know what I mean? Like, just
not bad, not that extent of
Trust in my
stupid, but
ability, please.
some days.
Good.
Oh my gosh.
It
That's
happens.
hilarious.
Oh,
Oh, sharing a brain cell. It's always fun, you know? Especially when you get to say, what? I don't have the brain cell right now.
Yeah, they're like, no, you have it.
You're on. You're on.
Yeah.
Gosh. So at least you've mentioned a couple of times you're going to school in all of this. How
Yes.
is that working out?
So this is my last year. I'm a senior this year, so
Congratulations.
and I can finally graduate.
Yeah.
So we don't try to like book during the school year, obviously, because I'm in school. So we
Do
try to like a
weekends.
lot of weekends and stuff. And if it's like something that I do like have to miss school, then I just will. New York State though has like a seat time requirement. I have to be like in my seat this X amount of hours. I can only miss
Mm.
whatever. So I try to stay like within that limit and not like try to
just enough to
Yeah,
just enough.
I get it.
a couple times, like a couple years before, I didn't know about this, and so I was like, "Oh, we have a show. Cool, I gotta scoot. Like, I can't be in school." And then school was like, "No, you have to be here. Like, you're
So
not.
you're not gonna graduate
you
if you
can't-
keep missing.
Like, if you can't pass this class because of seat time, like you have to redo the grade." And I was like, "Oof, I don't want to do that." So
No.
we'd I kind of like try to work around it, try not to book during school.
Here's the difference though in our parents. I'm the firstborn child, obviously the best because I made them parents. But
Okay.
You know, I am going to say that's the difference between you and my oldest because they call themselves the first pancake.
I understand. I get that reference completely.
I don't know what y'all are talking about, but okay.
The first pancake it's never quite right.
Oh, my pancakes are the bomb. I mean,
Christian's like, not mine. Mine are perfect every time.
I usually say that, and Christian goes, eldest son.
eldest son here,
I
so
was waiting for him to chime in. I
everyone
think we get
relax.
it. So when
Well, I was gonna say that when it was my turn. I was gonna
Yeah.
I'm the eldest son, obviously the best because I made them better parents, but
Anyways, so I was homeschooled up until graduation, and my mom was very much like, "You're definitely doing the music thing, do that, but while we're still working on that, you should have something to fall back on." And then with Christian, because she was like, "You're gonna need to provide for a family one day, so you have to
same
have."
thing. So
Yeah, so like you have to do something.
I was forced to graduate and then went to college for a 2-year degree.
You forced to college.
Yay.
It was more like while the band is growing.
It made sense at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it made
So-
sense to like have something you can fall back on should you ever need it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back your
I'm
parents
glad
up
I did it.
100%
Yeah.
on that.
So.
Yeah,
Yep.
and we got some bigger festival opportunities last year, and then into this year as well. And with Leigh, they're like, "Oh, okay," and we're like, "Wait, she doesn't have to graduate." They're like, "I mean, we can homeschool her if she needs to be." But there's also all those stories that God continues to provide, and they have lived through that with us as well. So I think it's very much like if that's where God has you, that's where God has you. Like she's
Oh
my
my
graduation.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gone.
So, and they're very much like, cool, go Leigh.
Yeah, they could
Yeah.
care less. Yeah.
Okay, so you're fourth in line?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that tracks. Absolutely tracks.
Yeah.
I really do. As a parent, oh my gosh, as a parent, like our first kid. Oh, this poor kid, Ray. I love you, babe.
Oh my God.
Ray,
We
Ray,
laugh.
oh, had such a hard row to plow for their sisters. Because they really did. They got us to relax, is what Ray did. And yeah, it's difficult for that firstborn. It really is. Christian, firstborn male, we don't have that experience so
Wait,
much.
hold on. What was that? Sorry.
But so Ray kind of took on that role as well as the eldest, and it just took on the more aggressive role. And but yeah, that between the first and even in that 2.5 years, between the first and the second two, by the time the twins were in high school, we were just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That, yeah. The baby in our family just he gets whatever he wants.
Gets whatever, does whatever.
He called me the other
You learn as you go which battles are worth fighting.
Yeah.
He called me the other day and he's like, "Can you take me to McDonald's?" And I'm like, I mean, I guess. He's like, "All right, can you pay?" And I'm like, I mean, okay. And then turns out he had already called one of the other ones who had already taken him as well. Like, I think
Oh,
mom maybe
my.
I
I think mom
can't
took him,
remember. Yeah. And he just wasn't gonna, it's so funny.
You want it for
learning
lunch
how to work
and
the
dinner.
He is learning how to work the system. That's great.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. He's the
Oh
best.
my
He's such
gosh.
an adorable little thing. I shouldn't
So,
say little. He's taller than I am
He's
now.
taller than I am at this point.
Yeah,
So.
he's turning 15, but he's still the baby. You're always the baby.
yep, he'll be the baby when he's 40.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep, I get it. I get it. So, Christian, what degree did you end up getting, just out of curiosity?
So I got a 2-year degree in business. I just graduated December, yeah. So
Congratulations.
that was nice. Yeah, thank you. I also have a bunch of prerequisites in order to transfer somewhere for land surveying. That was the main goal. But the school that I went to did not offer that outright, so I just ended up getting a 2-year business degree with, I think it's like business management. I could look at it. I haven't had to use it yet, so I'm not really too concerned. But
Meredith take care of everything.
sort of, but
Sometimes it's definitely we work hand in hand a lot though.
Mhm.
Because without the social media stuff and without our numbers up, it'd be hard for me to book as well. So
Yeah.
it goes back and forth for sure.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, you've got to do it all. And the fact that all three of you work at it, that's such a nice blend. Um, because it is a lot for one person. Like,
we
just the social media aspect of it is, like I said, I don't like learning technology, and I
it's
just
not fun. The social media is
no.
just not fun. It's always changing. It's
When he took
Yeah.
it though, it was because I have been doing it all. Like I was spending 2 to 3 hours a day just on social media alone, and I'm like, I cannot keep doing this. And he goes, I'll try. Like you can't really hurt
Oh,
at that stage of the game, and
good
yeah,
man.
the whole spreadsheet of all the analytics.
I
and-
got spreadsheets, baby. Like it gets crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
See, there's your business degree. You know how to read a spreadsheet.
Oh well, I mean,
He's like, yeah, college money for that.
yay.
I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it. Now, and I don't know if New York has this, but in Connecticut, you can get a 2-year degree for free as long as you graduated in the state in high school. New York
No.
doesn't have that.
No.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it actually wasn't too expensive, which was super nice. Just
We had
because
six kids, which
then
helps a lot with
I think
financial
you
aid.
were in medical coding at the time. Our other brother was in college the second year that I went in, so we got a bunch of aid for that, which was nice. That's the one thing New York does do. They do offer aid for people that need it, but like New York's such a pain in so many aspects, just school-wise, it's crazy.
Well, every state has their
Ups and downs.
idiosyncrasies, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're good things and bad things, and yeah, it's that's one of the things, at least in Connecticut, I think they did right. They made the community colleges free for anyone who graduated high school in
That's
the
cool,
state.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, no, we're not paying, we're not messing around with this anymore. Just do the first 2 years at the community college, get it done for free. Because a lot of people, I mean, honestly, a lot of people start and don't finish anyway. So they're out all that money that they had to
Yeah.
pay as a freshman and sometimes that sophomore year, and then don't end up with a degree to show for it. At least if you go to the community college, if you end up dropping out, you're not out anything. So I think that's kind of where they were going with it. And just as an encouragement for those who were going to begin with.
Yeah.
It's,
That's
wouldn't
really
you?
cool. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, yeah. Every once in a while, Connecticut gets it right. Every once in a great while. Oh my goodness. So oh my gosh. So you're doing all of this. You're trying to graduate high school, trying to go to college. I can't even imagine how you guys, like, when do you sleep?
At night.
You know what's funny is we are very much we're sticklers for our bedtimes. Like if you
Okay.
don't sleep, you can't keep going.
It
You won't take
ruins.
care of your body. You will get sick. You won't have energy for the next day. So we're very much like, oh, it's bedtime.
Yeah, we like
Everything gets
prioritize
dropped
sleep.
and you go to bed. It keeps you healthy. It keeps you road ready for weeks and months at a time. We've learned if you don't take care of your body, it's not going to take care of you.
Again, once again, that maturity and that discipline that you guys have at this age. I mean, honestly, show me a 20-year-old who gives themselves a bedtime. Seriously.
I feel good.
Yeah.
Sheepishly raises hand.
Like I'm just thinking back, especially during COVID, when school was kind of optional. My kids were like up till 3, 4 in the morning.
Wow.
I can't
They
imagine.
Wow.
they might get up before 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Might. And at that point, we're just like, okay. It was the twins,
Yeah.
it's fine.
The youngest. Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh. But I really, I think God really has his hand on you in giving you that maturity and that discipline. Um, yeah, yeah, that's gonna take you far. Usually people don't learn that until like 30. Like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should get a few more hours of sleep at night.
Oh wow, I actually feel great now.
Yes.
Who knew?
It's all a learning curve. Like we just keep, trying. You just gain so much information when you listen to other people's experiences and you go through them yourselves. It's all work in progress.
So who do you look up to as those role model types, those people that you not the people that were giving suggestions or demands that you were just like, no. But but the other people who you were like, yes, this person is speaking wisdoms. This is a person that I should pay attention to. Who are some of those people for you?
Um, I would like our mom is a very wise woman. Uh, she definitely instilled a lot of like disciplines in us when we were younger. Um,
Mhm.
to this day, I don't make my bed when I get up, and she hates it.
I do because I like a nice clean bed.
We share a room. And I just like I'm gonna get back in it at night. Why do I need to make it? Anyways.
I remember having that argument with my mother.
The principle of the
You don't
matter.
either. Don't even try.
Whatever.
She's very much yeah, gave us very good habits when we were children and growing up that I'm grateful for to this day. And she just she has advice about anything. She's a therapist and a counselor too, so that I think comes with the territory, but she's very
Sure.
spiritually wise as well.
Wow. And was there ever a time where, like I said, obviously you guys were raised in church. Was there ever a time where you doubted, where you were like, mom and dad, maybe not so much, or have you just been solid in your faith ever for your entire life, basically?
I was telling Lisa, like, do you want to talk? Do you want to talk?
I mean,
I just feel like I'm talking a lot. That's why I'm asking.
I mean, I've been
Well,
most,
we can go across the row.
I mean, I've been mostly solid because obviously I was raised in a family. I've like all of my friends are all like Christian. Um, I even like my ballet schools were like ministry faith based. So kind of wherever I went, I was always like surrounded and I always had people to like even if I was doubting, they're like, yes, but here's scripture to erase that doubt, you know? So like
Mm.
not really, because I've always like had people to be like bump me back on course, I guess.
Do you remember how old you were when you made the decision to give Christ your heart?
I feel like I just kind of like grew up with it. So I feel like always I don't
Heart
like
from day one, baby.
there's ever like a specific day that I was like, yes, you know?
Hmm.
I don't know if
Kinda
that
was, yeah.
yeah.
It wasn't
Have
this.
you been baptized?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you've been baptized,
A
yeah.
couple years ago.
That kind of stuff. I specifically, When I was really young, my parents were going through like a very, very rocky time in their relationship. And so they don't remember it as much as I do. And I don't know, I knew what I wanted. I knew who I was to the point that my mom was like, you were really like, you were 6 and 7 and like fighting me for no reason. And I'm like, I might have chosen the wrong things to fight for at that age. uh, but yeah, again, I don't think I ever have because everything and every step in my life has literally been so directed that I've always known where I was going, and God has always reaffirmed that in various aspects, like the van story, things like that. Since I was young, just up until now, like there's not been one step that I've wondered because I know who he is, and this sounds very strong, but you can't tell me otherwise because I know what I've experienced and you can't take those experiences away from me.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I don't I was saved when I was very young and I just always was like, nope, that's it, that's real. Like to me it was
It is
black and
what it
white.
is.
It just was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just growing up kind of in it and then like doing the whole band thing and just seeing like the dominoes fall. It's always been it's as Meredith was saying, it's the experiences. Like there's so many experiences that I've personally have, even just like without the band, that I'm like, you can't tell me
And people
that
might
it's
say,
not.
"Oh, you're crazy that happened." I'm like, "But you weren't there."
It's been crazy 15 times at this point though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so out of
Yeah.
this world that like it has to be like
Yeah.
like it's yeah, so
All that like between those ages of like 10 and 15, there was a huge separation for me of church and religion and then the
yes.
life of the Lord, which again is semantics if you don't understand what I'm talking about. But we went through different church splits, different just hypocrisy and things like that, that we were like, oh, those are people's wants getting in the way of what God has. So does the Bible
Back
say that?
to the 50-year-old telling you to quit doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Like, does the
Exactly.
Bible say that, or do you want it to say that? So we've also been through a lot of learning the difference between God's voice and again learning from other people because there's times people say something I'm like, oh, where's that? And sure enough, it's there,
Sure
and I
enough,
never
yeah.
knew. And so it's again, it's a growing experience.
Learning, always
Yeah.
learning.
Wow. Yeah, I think you touched on something very important and really great that you guys have learned already at this point. Because I know I didn't learn it until again in my 30s, but I walked away for a while. I was saved at like 12 and didn't come back until like 22 or 23. It wasn't that I literally walked away, just didn't walk with him basically. So during that time, I just didn't think about it all that much, right? And he let me do what I wanted to do, and I can look back and see where he was guiding me. But anyway, going back to what I was talking about, the difference between the personal relationship with God and the religion that sometimes gets in the way.
Yeah.
I heard it explained best once in a series. I will never forget this. A series that our pastor called "Why Religion Doesn't Work." And it's religion is man's rules for the relationship with God. They're not
Right, yeah.
God's rules, they're man's rules.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why,
And
oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
That's why I think so many young people are turning away from the church is because A, they feel like they can't live up to the standard that was set, or they don't feel accepted for anything. Um, and our biggest thing is when people ask us our opinions on this and that, I'm like, my job isn't to have an opinion. My job is to love you the way Jesus would love you because I'm not the judge and the jury.
I'm not.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think that's another reason with all the rock music is again, we have a lot of fantastic supporters that love the aspect. We have a lot of people that don't understand that and think it's wrong. And again, I'm like, maybe God is just calling you to love the person, and I it's a step-by-step thing. I'm
Do
gonna
you
come
get a
back.
lot of do you get a lot of opportunities to speak into young people's lives as far as, that difference between, hey, yeah, I understand, your church, you've been hurt by your church. And that can be really devastating as a young person. Um, do you get that chance to really speak into people's lives like that?
All the time.
Yeah, it's like when I'm at the merch table, like after or before it's like people will come up and be like, "Hey, just want to get to know you," and I'll be like, "Cool, want to get to know you too." And then sometimes just conversation just strikes, and then we just talk about like many things, and it's really interesting to hear other people's like stories and their viewpoints,
Yeah.
and to be like, "I understand, like I've been through that too," or like I can sympathize, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you were doing at the merch table what I'm doing with this podcast. It's like I just want to hear the stories, get to know you, and I just find it fascinating hearing other people's experiences. And it's really crazy. Like this podcast, we're on, I think you guys are episode 5 or 6. And but I've been hosting for Red's Room, which is an online concert series. I help out with Christian music, Christian Media Spotlight from time to time. Joe, don't fire me. Um, uh, and just getting a chance, but more on Red's Room really, because that's more of an interview based concert series. Just having that time and just having that little bit of time with the artist to get their backgrounds, to hear their stories. Um, I really firmly believe that it's our testimonies that connects us. God allows us to go through experiences, to live certain experiences so that we can connect with other people.
Mhm.
And it's just it amazes me still, and I hope I'm not the only one, and I hate to keep harping on this, but it really does amaze me, non-condescendingly, how much you guys have lived and how much you have grown in your relationship with Christ. And you are still very, very young. I can only imagine where this road is going to take you. And I can't wait to watch it, honestly.
Very exciting, yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I just yeah, I just love hearing the different experiences. And I think that really going back to those experiences, the people who have been hurt by the church, you know, even as young as you are, you have already seen, oh yeah, Christians sometimes aren't very nice, just like everyone else. Sometimes you get some not nice people in there, and sometimes even a Christian can get misguided.
Mhm.
Those Christians who look at you and say, "Oh my gosh, you have an electric guitar and drums? That music is of the devil." Yeah, not speaking from any kind of personal experience with that one. Anyway, but I can't imagine you get a lot of that, do you?
Not so much
Not so much
anymore.
anymore, yeah,
But I will also say we play primarily general audience venues as
at this point,
well.
yeah.
Hmm.
But there are we've actually I led worship in a church once that like no drums were allowed.
I remember that.
Yeah, and yeah, not so much anymore.
That was
Um
definitely weird for me. That was interesting because they're like, "Oh, you're the drummer." Hi. And I was like, "Oh, hi."
Yeah, yeah, go away.
No, they were super sweet and kind. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it was
good.
definitely a phenomenon to them
yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've definitely heard I've heard the explanation that drums were used in Satan worship,
Mhm.
so therefore drums are evil. And
Oh.
I remember, yeah,
That's all I have to say on that. That's
Yeah.
huh.
uh-huh. So I looked at this person dead in the eye. I said, okay, so an artist, this is what you're telling me. An artist uses paints and a paintbrush to paint a beautiful picture glorifying God, to which another artist comes, uses the same paintbrush and paints to paint a satanic picture. It's the paintbrush that's evil. Okay. And that was his response too. Huh.
Yeah.
He changed his views, but he did say it did shut him up a little bit.
Yeah. And
But
sometimes too, because Christian has a whole bunch of verses like talking about what is a skin stretched tight over something and being
Oh
on,
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So we've talked in different places when we used to do services more with like those kind of stories. Like
Yeah.
that sounds like a drum to me in there. And
Yeah.
not to
yeah,
prove anything, but just to say
Loud
this,
music is okay.
yeah,
Just because it's loud does not mean it's doing the wrong thing.
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And everyone has different tastes in music. I understand that
That's 100% fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I understand that for some people, for some people maybe rock music, like one person in particular I'm thinking of, he grew up in the 60s and 70s, and to him rock music represented drugs and alcohol and sex. And he never paid attention to the lyrics. He only listened to the drums and the guitars, right? He just selectively heard. He never listened to the lyrics, never listened to the words. So it didn't matter. Okay, yeah. So to him, if you're singing rock music glorifying God or satanic verses put to rock music, it's the same song to him. And
Right.
so it bothers him, and I understand that it bothers him to listen to rock music. So to that point, okay, well, you don't listen to rock music, don't listen to Christian rock, but that doesn't mean that nobody else should either.
Yeah,
It-
exactly.
And that's that step too far. That's
Yeah.
well, if it's right for me, it obviously must be right for someone else, that
Right.
controlling factor, or even a fear factor sometimes I think gets involved there. What are your
Exactly.
thoughts on that?
I agree. It's the same thing. Like
Perspective.
it's
It's all
perspective.
perspective.
Yeah. And I'm a huge believer in if my heart is trying to follow the Lord as much as I can, I'm not saying
Mhm.
I get it right all the time, but I don't think that someone else should tell me how I'm supposed to follow. Does that make sense?
Amen. Absolutely. Yeah,
Like again, there is listening and learning from other people as well. Like you don't
Yeah.
get it wrong all the time.
Mhm.
Um, but the projection of somebody else's fears or,
Yes. I
etc.
think that's the best way to put it. It's a projection of their fears.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And you are accountable to God.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
He put us in this position as ministers. He put us in this position as Christians where we don't need mediators. We have that direct relationship through Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
And so, no, we don't need these other men. We are accountable directly to God because He speaks to us through that Spirit and expects us to listen and obey. And, that's not to say that He won't put people in our lives to be influences, to speak truth and love, to correct and guide. But you have you have that ability to discern as well.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And you have to make sure, first and foremost, that your relationship with him is right before you look elsewhere.
Mm.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Just goes to show we all have so many similar experiences.
Yeah, most people do when you really get to know them.
Yeah, and it you don't even really need to get to, I mean, we've talked less than 2 hours and we've already shared similar experiences, maybe from the opposite end of the perspective, mother child,
Right.
but but yeah, it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to really allow that connection to happen,
Yeah.
which, that just, to me, that glorifies God even more because we're all connected by the Spirit. the Holy
Mhm.
Spirit. It makes us brothers and sisters. It makes us co-heirs, so we're already spiritually connected. So why would it take a huge amount of time for that spirit to connect us, right?
Yeah, you already have the main thing in common.
Exactly. You're already my sister. You're already my brother. You're fine. But it really, I would imagine that, those having those experiences as young as you were, where you had those voices of negativity, was it always just that self-assuredness that no, I'm doing what God wants? Or did you have, I would imagine like your parents, did you have those other equally strong voices saying, honey, no, just no, you're on the right road. Trust your voice.
Both, because my parents were very much, I don't, that's
That one's a tough one, yeah.
yeah, I knew it was wrong to listen, if that makes sense. For
Mhm.
some reason, something in me was like, no,
That's not right,
yeah,
yeah.
that's not right. That isn't
That's
right.
not me. That's not what I was called to do, yeah.
And my mom was very much like, okay, only you know. And if you're following, and you're sitting with the Lord and listening that way, then I support what you know, which is a very big thing to say to a 12-year-old girl, you
Yeah.
know?
But I'm pretty sure she also prayed over it too.
Oh,
Just like
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it to
Yeah, I like that's very short, but
I don't, I'm thinking back to, when my oldest was 12, if they did tell me something, um, no, I don't know that I would have had the strength to say at 12 years old, no, you're right. Do what you feel.
Mhm.
But then, your mother knows you best, and she knows your heart. She knows your connection. And yeah, I think my oldest at 12, and even I think they would say this at 12 about most things. There were some things that they knew. But about most things they would say, no, I didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah. But to be fair, like my mom also has a whole story. Like they have been trying to get pregnant for like 7 years. She was 32 when she had me. She had the last boy, Taya, when she was 41 or 42. But they had
Okay.
a whole thing where she didn't have any kids. She had a dream and was like, "No, God is telling me I'm gonna have." I think she said 5 kids, so we have 6 kids. So we still don't know. But she called up my
Bonus.
grandma and she goes like, "I'm gonna have 5 kids." And my grandma's like, "Honey, you're 32 years old. You know,
Do you
you
understand
guys."
how this
You
works?
guys have been trying for 7 years, you know. And sure enough, I came and then we're all 1.5 years apart.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And it just no treatments, no nothing, just
Nothing.
No.
God's
Yeah,
timing.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's phenomenal. I love hearing stories like that. They're not your everyday stories,
yeah,
certainly.
yeah. And I think because my mom had her dad was very strongly faith based as well and had a lot of God stories. And so she grew up knowing blessings were normal, you know?
Okay.
And so then also, her life and then having us, I think it's just the next step in life.
Just the next step. Okay. So I'm definitely seeing a pattern here. Where, yeah, no, no, seriously, where your mother, and I'm assuming your father as well, uh, had time to become very strong, very mature, and very reliant in their faith
Mm,
before having kids. And that, yeah, I can see where that translates more.
mm.
So there's definitely something to be said as opposed to me and my husband who are like, I don't know, let's have a kid.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
It's just the next thing to do.
Yeah.
I had all three by the time I was 27.
Nice.
So, yeah, I was just a kid. I was just starting to figure things out. My mom and I joke because she was the same way. She had me, I'm 5 years younger than my brother, and it's just the two of us, and she had me when she was 27.
Mhm.
So her timeline is very similar to mine. And we're like, yeah, we didn't know what the heck we were doing at 20, in our mid 20s. Are you kidding me? How can we, help form this little mind of mush when we don't even have ours formed yet? I stole that from Rush Limbaugh. I will admit on that one. But it's the truth, and looking back, I was not strong in my faith yet. My husband and I had just decided to go back to church, so we were very much Christian babies when we started having babies.
Mhm.
So looking at how our kids are raised in their belief system versus your parents' experiences with you, there is a big difference there.
Mhm.
And, my kids, I would love if my kids were half as strong in their faith as you.
That's a
You
huge
know,
compliment.
it is, and it's meant to be. It again, not condescending, but just as a mother speaking to that, my kids, they're going through the same struggles and have walked away or not walked with, just like my husband and I did.
Mhm.
So, whereas your parents had that time to really firm up their faith and then were very grounded by the time you came along.
Mhm.
I think, that really shows in how you were raised, their wisdom in raising you, and their faith that God was moving in you
Mhm.
at 12 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, as they go down the line, yeah, you don't need to graduate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man. I was like, really?
Oh, the oldest have such a harder road. Really do.
I
I
don't
mean,
know though. Sometimes I get a good end of the stick too, so.
yeah, there are benefits, but oh my gosh, not only did you not have a paved road, you had to go through and cut down the trail.
Really, really quick before we wrap up.
Yep.
We have a very big field next to our house
I knew
that
exactly where this is
grows
going.
hay at that time, like literally almost over my head grows hay. And so we had what we called Field City, where we would make little trails all the way through, and then we would just roll on grass to create a big circle. And we'd had, whatever bedrooms, whatever. We always had the conference room, which was the longest, windiest, most complicated path because nobody could hear what you were talking about in the conference room.
Understood.
And so I would walk and design the whole place. Christian would crawl after me to flatten everything.
Here's the kicker though. Here's the best part. I'm allergic to hay, so I'd have hives and stuff all over the place.
And
But
we
it's
were
like,
like,
keep going,
yeah,
we're not done yet, Christian. Keep going.
we can finish this. Then we'll go inside and get you some ice. You'll be fine. Stop complaining.
Throw some dirt in it. You're fine.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah, that was, I'm sorry.
oh, now I get an apology? Okay.
Hey, take it. They don't come along that often.
15 years down the line.
Goodness, yeah.
Yeah, my oldest has had to apologize for forcing their sisters to eat questionable things and calling it quote unquote salad.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Like
Uh,
some of it was good, like the dandelion greens and the violets. Those are all
gotcha.
good and edible. The plantains, those are great.
Yeah.
The dandelion flowers, maybe not so much.
Oh man, that's so funny. We call them cow flowers. I think there's some sort of clover or something that you can like pull off and like suck a
Oh,
little sugar out of the
yeah.
petals. And
Mm.
not very. We're country people. We always say we're very country to the city folk,
But to us,
to
country person,
they're like, no, you're not.
no, you're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Directly in the middle.
That's pretty much how my husband and I were raised, pretty much how we raised our kids. Like we were in the middle of Columbus, Ohio, which to anyone who lives in a real city, Columbus is not a real city. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Columbus,
right.
you're not. You're a big small town.
Yeah.
But they were very much we had our little enclosed backyard with a 6-foot privacy fence. So they were in their own little world back there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And, when they got a little bit older, I could say, okay, go on outside and play. And I didn't have to worry about them too much, which is how the dandelion salad came into play.
That's so funny. Oh my
But I
God.
will say all 3 of them are alive. All 3 of them are mostly healthy.
That's all that matters.
There you
That's all that
go.
matters.
Immune system
Yeah.
robust.
Well, my husband and I always went on the theory, even if we lost one, 66 is still a passing grade. D's get degrees.
That's what my music
Crazy.
teacher says.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Fortunately, God never took us up on that.
Thank you for knowing what we need.
Yep.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your obviously crazy schedule to spend some time with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. I know we've talked about doing this for a little bit, so I'm glad we finally got to do it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And thank you again, our intrepid producer, Elizabeth.
Yes, you're doing a good job.
I think we just woke her back up.
Oh man.
Yeah, we get on before we started, before you guys got on, and she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I just woke up from a nap. I had to get up way too early this morning.
Happens to the best of us.
Yep. So she's ready to turn into a pumpkin too. So thank you again, guys. God bless you.
Thank you.
Stay safe and just have a great summer. I'm glad that we're gonna be able to at least get to hear from you a little bit when you come in May, not April. I'm just gonna plug it. Northford Christian Church, NCC. Our Facebook page is New Creation Coffee House. Undefeated will be joining us for our May Coffee House, and it will absolutely be on Facebook, on YouTube. So yeah, you definitely don't want to miss that one. So promote yourself before you go. Where can people find you, hear your music, purchase your merch, all that good stuff?
Yeah, you can find all of our music on any streaming platform. That can be Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, any of that. You can find all of our socials under undefeated_official. That's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. You
Literally
name it,
everything.
we have it. That once
Yeah.
again, undefeated_official.
Yep.
And
Awesome.
And say you came from this podcast if you did.
There you go. There you go. Maybe they get a little sticker or something if they say that.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be so
Okay,
fun.
promotion. Yes, we backed it up.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, again, thank you so much for having us. It was a great time.
Likewise, likewise. God bless you guys. Thank you.
You as well.
Good way.